Hello and welcome to a CS201 short on JSON. In this video, we'll examine how to use JSON to load and save data in JSON format in order to make coding your Project 3 a bit easier. The way we're going to do this is through a sample project. I've decided on a Diablo clone, so this is definitely not Diablo. Thus the fire in the splash screen. We'll do this in a few steps. 1, we're going to code up a weapon class and a shield class. 2, we're going to code up a player class. 3, we're going to code up the game class, basically just for testing purposes. We're not really writing the whole project. We're just going to write enough of it to where we can start putting together the load and save features from JSON. And then we're going to put it all together to see how the JSON structures interact, both in the files and in the actual code. So let's begin. So here is my game class. I kind of wrote a little bit up of this game class already, but we can add to it. You notice here that I have a weapon class, which I only coded a little bit of, a shield class, which I only coded a little bit of, and I have the game class here, as I said. Let's add a player class, just so that we can have this. The reason why I want the player class is so that the player can have items. So let me explain to you how I'm going to do this. Basically, in a Diablo type of game, you pick some kind of class and your player has some weapons. They have a shield and they have some kind of thing like a bow and arrow or a spear or 2 swords or something like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to code up at least the part that the JSON structures would be most interested in, i.e. saving and loading what the player has in their inventory. So here, let's just make the player class very simple. The player, normally you would say that the player might have some kind of strength attribute. We'll set it to 0. We'll set, intelligence to 0. We'll set charisma to 0. These things could be set, but whenever you create the player, maybe we'll have a name, something like this. So, but this is the most important thing. So now the self-inventory is going to be equal to an empty list. So what this is basically the list of all the things in the player's inventory. So we see here that there's really not a whole lot to this player class. Basically, it's just an excuse to have an inventory. But who cares? Let's move on. So that's it for the player class, really. So in the game, we're going to create a player class. The player class is going to have this inventory, and we'll just add some stuff and subtract it out of the inventory as the game goes on. So I added all these extra things into the constructor for a weapon. So for instance here, there's like the text name of the weapon. There's the weapon type. And then say there's the reach or the range. Maybe we'll call it range. So if it's a bow and arrow, maybe it'd have range 50. If it's a sword, it might have range 1, that kind of thing. Self.weight is equal to weight, and self.strength is equal to the strength of the weapon. So I guess what I mean by strength is just how many hit points it'll deduct if you hit an enemy with it or something like that. Of course, we haven't developed any of this yet, so the shadows, maybe I will just call this reach. That way it doesn't, you see how this shadows, when it says shadows the built-in range, see how this is purple? We don't want that, because it could accidentally redefine range that way, and then your for loops might not work perfectly. So let's do shield in the same way. So we have self.name equals name, self.shield type equals shield type. And you notice that I'm using shield type rather than just type, because as it turns out, type is a built-in keyword, right? So we don't want to use the built-in keyword type. And then self.size, let's say the size of a shield is the size, and self.strength. This is just the number of hit points that it can take when it's getting hit, I guess. Okay, so we see that we have a weapon class, we have a shield class, we have a player class. And that's really all I'm going to code right now in terms of this. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you notice here that I have from shield import shield, from weapon import weapon, from player import player. There we go. And you notice that PyCharm has these red underlines. It really doesn't like these references from the same file, but as it turns out, it's not actually a Python error. This is a bug in PyCharm or something. You see here how it says, "Oh, install package player." It's looking for a specific package, but don't worry about it. Okay. So let's just say for testing purposes, we want to create a game. So how do we create a game? We're going to have self.thePlayer is equal to player. Player is going to have a name in its constructor. So maybe for now we'll have none. And then down here, where we have test loop, we'll say, what is the player name? Player name equals, and then we'll have self.thePlayer is equal to player name. There we go. Cool. So now what we're going to do is create a test loop. So maybe while we'll have inString is equal to input, what do you want to do next? So we're not going to create the whole game here. Maybe I'll do dot lower. So what we are going to do inside of this loop is we're going to check to see if the inString is, say, create weapon. And then we'll create a weapon. If the inString is equal to create a shield, then we'll call a create shield method. I made them down here, but we haven't really done anything with them yet. The inString, say, add weapon to inventory. We'll add the weapon to the player's inventory. We'll add the shield to the inventory. And now here's the important things that we're going to get to. Load file. And we won't do anything yet. If the inString is equal to save file, we'll save it as a JSON. Now what else can we do? We can load, create, add weapons. We can technically remove. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can do, but none of that is actually important in terms of the files that we're going to save. So I just want to kind of do it this way, for now at least. We can add more stuff later, I guess. So let us talk about what we're going to do. We are going, if you want to create a weapon, we'll just call self.createWeapon. If you want to create a shield, self.createShield. And let's add, say, self.weapons equals maybe dictionary, and self.shields equals dictionary. We'll do it this way. You can also make it a list. It really doesn't matter. So add a weapon to an inventory. What that'll do is we'll say a new weapon is equal to input what weapon should we add. And if it's a shield, what we should ask is what shield should we add? And then what we'll do is we'll say player, so I guess self.player, right? Dot inventory dot append. Is it the player? It is the player. If new shield in self.shields, we will append a copy of that thing. So we'll say player inventory dot append, say new shield. Or I guess it's really self.shields, new shield, like that, because it's a dictionary. If you just used new shield, that is the string name of the thing, rather than the actual object that you care about. Okay, and we will just do the same exact thing, right? This is the simple part of the coding. And let's just copy paste, delete the comments, and then we can do this, new weapon, weapons. Okay. Cool. All right, so none of this is really the JSON part, but this is just kind of getting us towards where we can start doing things. So let's create weapons. So what kind of things do weapons have? Weapons have yes, create weapon. They have a name, a type, a reach, a weight, and a strength. So let's make all of these things integers, just because let's not worry about floating point values yet. The weapon type, that'll just be another string, so who cares? So name is equal to input what is the name of the weapon we are creating. So this is kind of like an in-game, this is like a game design part of the thing. This would not be something that you would call if you were actually playing the game, because we're not creating new weapons. This is something we're calling just for testing purposes. So, and then we have weapon type is equal to input what is the type of weapon we are creating, and then we'll say reach, self.range. Cool. All right, so weight, and what is the weapon strength? Let me tab all this in so that it's obvious what we're doing. It kind of makes it a bit better aligned. And then we'll just copy paste this for shields. So what we'll do is we'll say if weapon name is not in self.weapons, we will add it to it. So self.weapons weapon name is equal to weapon. name, type, reach, weight, strength. All of them are required because I didn't put any default parameters in. Okay, cool. So then this we'll just print out the weapon has been created. So let's do the same thing for shields. So let's just say replace weapon with shield. And now let's replace. What are the types of things for shields? Let's look at that. It's shield type, size, and strength. So we don't have a reach. We just have size. We have strength, so I guess we don't have a weight. Maybe we'll add a weight. There we go. Done. So what is the shield weight? What is the shield size? And then what is the shield strength? So now I think it's all in the same order, right? Well, I guess we have to continue replacing here. So replace shield name, insult.shields, shield name, shield. So this is capitalized. And now we keep replacing shield name, blah, this, that. Okay, I think that's basically done. Reach is now size. Okay, so you see that these are pretty simple functions. There's nothing terribly surprising here. Okay. But you see now that we've coded up these four parts of what we need. This is just kind of boilerplate introduction to what we're actually going to be doing. So now let us kind of shrink this down. In fact, let's even just put these back into the main thing and make this big again. All right, so what are we going to do? We want to look at the game class. So now we want to load and save files. So what if we want to load and save these files? So what files are they going to be? Well, that is the decision we have to make in our kind of design phase. And the design phase is going on right now, as it turns out. The design phase is going to be something where I say, so I already have the save and load functions up here. So I guess all we need to do here is we say input, what file name do you want to save as? Oh wait, that should be for save. And what file name do you want to load? And so then we will take file name here and file name here. And then what we're going to do is go file name or self.save, right? File name. And I keep doing that. It should be here. Self.load file name. So there we are. Okay. So now this loop is all basically done, right? So we've done all the simple stuff for our testing and for our development of the actual JSON structure of this thing. So yeah, okay. And so I think we want to save three different things in the file, right? When we save, we want to save all the weapons, if the player has them or not, right? Because in some games, you might have a single weapon and you might have two other swords in your inventory, but you're not going to have all the different weapons in the game in your inventory. So the self.weapons is all the possible weapons in the game, right? All the possible weapons in the game. It's not just the weapons that we have, and this is all the possible shields in the game, right? So that's what we have. Okay, so how are we going to save it? Well, what we need to do is we probably want to write some kind of helper function. And of course, the question is, what is a helper function? A helper function is something that assists another function. So for instance here, let's just write a helper function. Let's call it JSON if I, right? So we can't just save a shield class as a JSON. If we try to do that, what you might end up seeing is if you say json.dumps and you say self.weapons. I'll show you what happens. Let's just run through it a little bit. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So nothing happened because we did not actually call our test loop function. So we need to create a game, not Diablo game class. ndg equals that. And then ndg.run.testloop. Okay, let's try again. So what's the player name? Rufus. And what do we want to do next? We want to add a, what is it? Create weapon, add weapon. I forget what I've even done. We want to create a weapon. So if we're going to create, say, broadsword, it's a sword. The weapon's reach is let's just say 1, because I think I cast them all to integers, right? Let's check. Oh wait, these are not integers. I cast them to integers here. Yes, so integers only. The weapon's reach is 1, the weapon's weight is 2 pounds, the weapon's strength is 14. Who cares, right? So now we're going to create weapon. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all we need to do now. We can cause the bug immediately now. We can just say save, right? It's a save file, and then it's going to ask for the file name. But you see that the function doesn't care about that yet, so we're just going to type in ASDF. And then it says this: JSON object of type weapon is not JSON serializable. So there are a number of more complicated ways to solve this, but I think the best way to solve this would be to essentially do something like this, where you go into the weapon class or the shield class, and you create a little function called JSONify, or make into JSON, right? JSON format. And so what we do is we basically just return a list. So JSON can eat up anything that's in list or dictionary or primitive form. So basically what we're going to do is we can even return a name, right? A dictionary with the name, I guess self.name. And inside of that dictionary is going to be a, say, list where we have type that is self.weapon type. Reach, self.reach, weight, self.weight, colon, and strength. Self.strength. So this is not a JSON itself, but what we've done here is we've basically converted the function, or we've converted the stuff, the member variables inside of the class into a dictionary. So what we can do now, and I think we can also just basically copy paste this into shield. Let's be slightly careful. So here it will be shield type. We have size instead of reach. But weight and strength are the same. Cool. So what this does is it basically converts everything into a dictionary for us. Now, if we wanted to, we could also, we could just return a list with like self.name, self.shield type, self.size, self.weight, self.strength. And if you return this, then that works as well. The only difference is that if you return all of this stuff, you have to know what order everything is going in. So you can't access, so these numbers are just going to be numbers, right? It's just going to be like the size is 15, the weight is 3, the strength is 12, right? And so there's not, just looking at this, there's not going to be a way to determine the distinction between all the different members. So you have to make sure that whenever you write your load function, you load things in the same exact order that you save them in, right? I mean, this might feel like preaching to the choir, but it's kind of important because otherwise you'll lose track of which thing's in which place. So let's see what we can do now. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is for weapon in self.weapons, we're going to have a weapon dictionary. This is definitely not how you have to do this project, so update is like extend. So what it's going to do is it's going to add the dictionaries together. So what we can do is go weapon.jsonify, and then what this is going to do is this gives us, I'll print it out so that we can see what's happening. This is going to make us a weapon dictionary of all the weapons we add together. Blech. Okay, now what? Now let's do the same thing for shields. So here, this is bad because it's going to try to JSONify weapon objects. But here, it's not going to do that, so we're going to have the shield dictionary. And we're going to say for shield in self.shields. I guess what are we going to do? I guess we'll do the same thing. We'll print shield.jsonify. We will do shield.update or shield dictionary.update. This like adds the dictionaries together. I think you might even be able to use plus equals. I'm not sure. Let's try it. Well, I'll try it in a second. So, okay, so that's just saving and loading. We'll deal with the player's inventory later. So, yeah, so let's get, well, actually, I'll keep this at the top of the code because I'm probably just going to post this to the whatchamacallit, GitHub. So what we're going to do now is we will say file name with open file name w as say weapon file, or we'll just say game file. I don't know if we'll deal with the player. Maybe we'll just deal with this stuff. I think this is kind of getting the point, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say, now these are two dictionaries. So what we're going to do is we're going to say something like shields, shield dict, weapons, weapon dict. So this is the file save dictionary, right? This is the big chonker that we're going to shove into the file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say gamefile.write json.dump s, which says dump string, of this giant file save dictionary, right? Okay, cool. So now let's play around with this again. So what is all of this doing? What this is doing is I'm putting everything into one, right? Everything in one dictionary. And then I'm going to save everything as one JSON file so that we'll have a dictionary inside of the JSON that basically says, here's your first list, here's your first dictionary of shields, and then here's your second dictionary of weapons. And so we'll load them back in that order. Technically, you could flip the order, and we'll make it so that the load file and save file can actually work in this way. Okay, so let us, I think without further ado, we can actually run this thing. And remember that when you use the with thingy, the with construction, this will close the game file at the end of this statement, which is good because we want that. Okay, so let's run it again. So what is the player name? Ophelia. Hang on. Let's see. So what do we want to do next? Let's create a weapon. What's the name of the weapon? Broadsword. Type is sword. Weapon reach is 2. Weapon weight 2. Weapon strength 14. Create weapon. We're going to create a long sword, which I guess is going to have a longer reach, right? We'll make it have reach 3 or something, even though pretend it's not meters. Maybe it's feet. I don't know. But broadswords also have a long reach. Who cares? Where the difference is that it's going to reach 3. The weapon weight is, say, 1, and the strength is 12. Who knows what any of this means, and who really cares? So we're going to create a shield. What kind of shield are we going to create? A kite shield. I like kite shields. Oh, crap. Kite shields. Oh, well. It's a, what type of shield are we creating? Kite. I don't know. Shield size, 4. Shield weight, 3. Shield strength, 18. Alright, create shield. What type of shield are we creating? Good question. Tower shield, right? Tower shield. And it's going to be, type is tower. Shield size, 5. No, it should be twice that. It should be 8. It should be huge, right? Tower shields are like the Roman shields. Shield's weight should be 6. Shield strength, I don't know, 22. Nice. Okay. So now we are going to save file. I think that's what I called it, right? If it says, let's check to see what I said again. I always forget. Save file, yes. Okay, so let's save the file. What file name? Let's call it testthings.json. Enter. Wonderful. String object has no attribute JSONify. Good news, I'll edit all this out. Okay, so I had to make a fix. The fix is that I had to change this from weapon to self.weapons of weapon. Remember that weapon is just a string. And self.weapons at weapon is going to be the weapon class that we want to read. And the same thing with shields. I did the same thing with shields down here, so it's self.shields of shield, self.shields of shield. And so, unfortunately, I was stupid and didn't do this correctly. It's good that you all see me making mistakes. Okay, so let us do this all again. So quickly again. The player's name is Augustus Caesar. Let's create weapon. Let's create rapier. Type of weapon we're creating is sword. 3, 2, 1. Let's see. We're going to create weapon. Broadsword. Sword. 3, 4, 5. Right. I know that this is all kind of stupid, but whatever. And then let's create a shield. The shield we're going to create is, say, a kite shield again, except this time I'm not going to make it kite shields. The shield that we are creating is going to be it's a shield. I guess it's a kite shield, right? Kite. Shield size 5, shield weight 2, shield strength 14. We're going to create another shield, and we're going to create tower shield again. The type of shield is tower. Shield size is 14, shield weight 5, shield strength 22 again. Now let's save the file again, and let's hope that there's no bugs this time. Test save.json. Nice. So you see all of the things that it's saved, and it looks like it has worked. So let us quit now. And let's look and see if such a thing has been created. Oh, look at that. Here it is. Okay. So let us move on to loading, which is something to do. So let's load. So how do we load? So to load, we have to look at the structure of our file, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say with open file name, and remember you can either put in the read or you can leave it out as read JSON. We're going to do read JSON.read. And so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, JSON.load s, which says load a string. And what it's going to do is it's going to load this string. And okay, so let me explain this in parts. So read JSON.read is going to be the entire file, right? And the reason why I'm just loading the entire file is because you see that the test JSON, it doesn't really have any end lines, it doesn't have any punctuation. You can add those, but for now, let's just say that you just do it exactly as you've seen here. So then what we're going to do is that we're going to read the entire file in, and then we shove it into this thing which says the entire file dot load s. So it loads a string and creates a variable. So the variable that it creates is going to be the entire dictionary, right? It's the giant dictionary that comes out of the test JSON. It's everything in here. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, except it's not in the format that we need, right? So what we need to do now is we need to use this dictionary. We need to say, we need to look at the shields, and we need to look at the weapons, and we need to, come on, you know better. Okay, we need to add these all back in as new shields and weapons. So how do we do that? So what we're going to do is we will say for shield name in this, we will say the shield. Let's do it this way. The shield dictionary is going to be equal to this accessed at shield name. And the reason why I'm going to do that is so that we can simplify this a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say shield, and remember it's going to be shield name, name. Why is that misspelled? I can't even see. IE instead of a EI. And then the entire dictionary. Oh no, I'm sorry. The shield dictionary at type, right? Because type goes in next. And then what goes in next after that? It says size, weight, strength. Size, weight, and let me just put it all on one line, or on. Okay, there we go. So this is our new shield equals, and what we're going to do is we're going to say, well, if the new shield is not in self.shield. So maybe we've already loaded this data and we don't want to load it again. So this just prevents double loads or same name overwriting or whatever, right? So that kind of thing. So yes, so then we'll add it to self.shields. New shield. Oh, I'm sorry. Crap. Shield name. There we go. That fixed it. Almost did. Okay, slow down, type better. There we go. Is equal to new shield. So remember that the shield name is the string, and the new shield is the actual shield object. And then we'll do the same thing for weapons, right? For weapon name in self dot, no, I'm sorry, the entire dictionary. Oh wait, I should just delete until it comes up. Here it is. Okay, and then we basically just do the exact same piece of code. So we will say weapons, weapon name, the weapon dictionary, right? And then this is going to be a new weapon, and this will be weapon name. This will be self.weapons. See how this is really all duplicative because it's all duplicative mainly because it's just one of those kind of structures that's very similar. So I think it has type. What does it have? It has type. Weapons have reach. They have reach. I should put this first so that I don't keep clicking on player. So instead of size, it's reach. Okay. So here we want weapon name again. And I think I've probably done something wrong because I've done this way too fast. But we are going to pretend like I haven't done something wrong, and we're going to try to run it. So let's run the file again, or run our code again, and our new name is going to be Kilomus Maximus, and we're going to load a file. Actually, let us, at the end of this, let's print out self.weapons, and let's print out self.shields. Let's do it again. Kilius Secundus. And let's load a file. And then we know the file's name is testsave.json. And let's just double check that it's R, not W, because we don't want to overwrite it. Boom. So now what we have is we have the rapier, and you see how it says weapon object, right? This means that the weapon is actually not a dictionary, it's not a list, it's nothing but a weapon.weapon object. So if you want to actually print something out about this, there's ways to do that. I covered that in a different lecture. I don't want to cover that here. I just want to say that this would be the right way that things might look. It's just giving you a memory location, and it's giving you what kind of thing it is. If you actually want to know more about it, then you would have to go weapon.size, weapon.reach, weapon.weight, weapon.whatever. And so here, and then we have the kite's shield and the tower shield, and it loaded in the same way. So this, I think, is probably a fairly good first introduction to what we expect. And I think what I'll do is I'll just load this all up into a GitHub, and then you can read it at your own leisure. All right. Have fun, everyone. I think that's it. I will then exit this little script that I've written, and I will leave it all to you. I'll even give you the testsave.json. All right. I think that's it. Goodbye for now. Good luck.